What's going on, everybody? Power Metal Ranger back at you again with another Ranger Talk episode. This time it's featuring the incredibly talented Elina from Angel Nation. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Very nice introduction. Thank you so much.
Of course, well deserved, I should say. How are you today?
I'm very good actually. Yeah, sun is shining and I have a day off actually, so quite
Oh,
relaxed. Yeah.
oh well, I hate to interrupt your day of rest and
No, no,
relaxation.
no. Nothing like that. It's my pleasure.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, first, I want to go back in time a little bit and ask you when you first really kind of got into music or got your passion for music and how your musical journey ended up leading up to the formation of Angel Nation, or I guess before it was called Angel Nation, it was,
Enkelination, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, do you have an hour time? Well, no.
I guess the
I'll try and
abridged
keep it
version,
short.
right?
But yeah, very, very shortly, obviously, my family is all musicians. So I kind of grew up with all that, all classical musicians. So I was always singing, I played violin for 7 years and then started always singing as well. But I started to kind of take lessons around when I was 17. And then I started studying like more, let's say professionally, 2 years later, and studied a whole degree in classical music or classical singing. And then when I was finished with that, I decided to move to London and was studying there for the year, all other styles. So it was, rock and pop and jazz, whatever. And I got into this metal rock world there. I met some people. I was really enjoying the performing, on stage. I wasn't really used to other than doing operas on
Right.
stage. So it was a new world for me, but I really loved it. And we went to the clubs, and I was, getting into that whole vibe of that. What's that world,
Yeah.
And then it kind of ended up me starting Enkelination, back then called Enkelination, because I've always written music, but I didn't really. I was kind of thinking, my voice is not going to work with kind of rock and metal. It's like, yeah. But then I realized maybe I can do it, and I can write something that I feel like I want to sing. So that's why I kind of initially started the band. And then it's just, yeah, a lot of work and a lot of people helping me on the way. I'm always grateful to everybody who's been there because I couldn't have done it alone at all. And now here we are. So on the way, we changed the name of the band, but that's the kind of speed version of how everything got done in the start.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, I love the fusion of kind of the operatic with the symphonic metal. It just creates such a unique sound.
Yeah, I mean, in Angel Nation, I'm actually not really using my opera voice
Right.
too much. I'm kind of writing more, a little bit different, and the music is also not really symphonic. Maybe there's some songs that are a little bit more symphonic, but I think it's a little bit different style than I always call it more melodic metal. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely elements from the whole, classical world in metal, like with all these theatricals and the like the power of the music. It's I
Yeah,
think it's very much in there. Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. So you have a couple, two or three previous albums. So how did you approach? How do you pronounce the new album? Antares?
Antares, yeah. I
Antares?
think so. I think so.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Antares. So, how did you approach the new album Antares, and how did you build upon your previous albums to kind of create the sound for Antares? Do you want to just kind of keep things the status quo, or do you like to keep evolving with every album? The sound.
Well, I mean, I think the answer is obvious. Of course, I like to evolve, and you can definitely hear it as well. I mean,
Hmm.
it's always, in a way, of course, a kind of risk as well when you change things, because maybe some people liked something previously more, but I always like to take those risks, and the sound is very different. No, not very different, but still, definitely different than if you compare it to Tears of Lust or even to Ian. Because I mean, I think this album is clearly much more guitar driven. There's not so much, there are keys, but it's not so key full of, like the sound is not so in your face, in my opinion. It's much more band driven, so you know the band is in the center, and it's quite heavy sound as well, because George was also playing 8-string guitar, so it's
Wow.
very, yeah, quite a heavy sound already there. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too, because you know it is very guitar driven, but you know those symphonic or you know the keyboard elements are in the background, I guess, kind of just adding the flavor, you know, in essence, sort of. But the forefront seems to really be the guitars. I was gonna ask you about that, but the songwriting process, you know, how did the songwriting process really work for this album, and how did you balance all of the different elements included in the album?
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason also, if you would listen to, let's say, my very first demos, like back in 2011, let's say, I write with the keyboard, so I play keys. I don't
Okay.
play guitar, so
Mhm.
that's how I write, and that's why the songs were very keys driven. So I still write like that. So it was in general the same kind of process. So I usually write the songs with the keyboard. I make some synths and you know like the melody structure of the song basically, and then I would send it to the brand, and they would kind of come up with ideas on top of that. Sometimes I also make like some little drum ideas or even guitar ideas, but you know how it is with the keyboard, it's just
Yeah.
not gonna work. So it's better for the guys to do their part, you know. Julia does her bass, and George does the guitars, and Lucas comes up with the drums, and then we still maybe change something, of course.
Yeah.
So it's you know back and forth, but that's kind of how it's always been. So I kind of make the core, and then we throw ideas there.
Okay, really cool. Yeah, so you're kind of right, like you said, the core, that you're laying the foundation pretty much for the music and the songs, and
Yeah,
then
most of
letting
the
the
time.
other
Yeah.
members kind of, you know, add their 2 cents to things, or you know,
Yeah,
adjust
yeah,
things.
but of course, I mean, the songs are nothing without the other elements. So even though if I'm kind of the core, then you know it needs the other elements as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's really cool structural ideas, arrangement ideas also from the guys. So there was definitely some things we changed for Antares as well. That always, you know, you come become so close to the song that you can't really hear it anymore. So I need
Yeah.
to get someone else to come. Oh, maybe we could do this or extend this bit or make it shorter. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Did you know at the beginning of starting the writing process for this new album that you wanted it to be very guitar driven, very guitar heavy, or did that kind of develop as you went?
Ah, that's a good question, actually. I have to kind of think about that because the writing process went on for such a long time. I had a kind of writer's block. And yeah, I kind of was really struggling. I couldn't write for a long time. So
Yeah.
that's why it took so long. And I think I wrote this album, I started maybe 2019. So it was a long
Wow.
period of
Yeah.
time. So when I initially started, I think there was talks that we thought, okay, if you know, if and hopefully when we make this next album, we would like it to be a bit more guitar heavy because we also don't have an actual keyboard player on stage, so you don't want the
Um,
sound to be you know too much heavy on the keys and stuff. So yeah, I think there was a kind of initial, but I still wrote the songs the same. It was more up to the guys than to make that change there for the instrument.
yeah. You know, I noticed too that you know, in some songs there's almost an electronic kind of rhythm to the keyboard, or you know whatnot, electronic kind of vibe going on in there. Where does that come from? Do you?
I'm trying to think which bits you would mean by this, but basically, I like these 80s sounding synths. So
Gotcha.
maybe I use them there
Yeah.
quite a lot. If you listen to, I don't know, Enough is Enough from the previous album, that's very 80s vibes on. And you know, on this album, Face to Face with the Merciless is kind of like this kind of stadium rock star with a completely different vibe and very 80s sound as well. So um, yeah, I guess it's just I tried to make the keys less busy this time, but there are bits that I wanted them to kind of poke through. So
Right.
maybe that's what you mean. I would have to know exactly which bits you
Yeah, I
mean.
don't know if it was either Seraph or We Are Fire,
Hmm.
but there's a little, like an electronic
Yes, yeah, there is this
thing going.
melodies going always in the, yeah, yeah, especially in We Are Fire is very distinctive.
Yeah, okay, so that must have been where I heard. So it's kind of the 80s kind of, yeah,
Yes,
really
yes,
cool.
I think so, yeah.
So how do you balance all of that? Especially with the heavy nature of the guitars, how do you balance such a heavy driven sound? Because a lot of these songs are really just pumping. I mean, just
Hmm.
really, really driven. So how do you balance that with the more melodic? I think a lot of the melody comes from your voice,
Yeah.
vocally. So how do you find that balance between the two?
Yeah, I think that was also a conscious decision for this album that we wanted to keep it a bit more driven.
Mhm.
And that's also dividing opinions, maybe some people like more mellow bits in between and stuff like that. There are still some, of
Yeah,
course. But yeah, I agree. It's pretty pumping,
yeah.
like most of the time. But then I'm not sure, do you mean sound-wise? Because if you mean sound-wise, then of course it's down to the mixing process. So when we send it to Alex, it's like, Alex, do your job and mix it, make it work, balance
Yeah.
it. So, but if you mean structure-wise, musically within the song, then yeah, that was kind of this decision. And I still try to bring those breathers in there, but I agree there is maybe a little bit less of those on this album.
Yeah, because I think your voice has just a naturally very melodic uh, 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 style to it. A very melodic quality.
Yeah.
So, I guess that balances that heaviness, and then your
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's the contrast you would like to have there. So it's not just only one thing, one thing. You want that kind of,
Yeah.
little friction there. Yeah.
So we've talked about, I guess, like the music, on the album, but vocally, how did you really approach this album? I know you said that you toned down some of the operatic style and you wanted to have more of a rock kind of sound, I guess, or just a different kind of style to your voice. So how did you really approach that?
Well, I think it's been a natural evolvement because voice changes, and I've also been, learning new things and developing my voice. So I wanted to try again to push myself a bit more, and I'm using slightly different styles in this album, like let's say more of it. So it's just exploring, again, different ways of singing and which, like, what fits in which song and which bit, and so yeah, maybe it brings that little bit more rockier sound in some bits, but I think it's still not like I'm never going to be a pop singer, let's say that. So it's always going to be the kind of some hybrid of this classical and
Yeah.
whatever. It's just always going to be like that.
No, it's really cool. And, I have to say, I think it lends a real unique quality to the sound of Angel Nation, but between the music and then your voice, because there's always, like you said, you have a heaviness or a rock kind of um, style quality to your voice in this album, but there's still that air of that
Mm.
melodic, almost operatic, like you said, that classical style. So it just creates a very unique sound that
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
it makes it
Yeah,
very recognizable when you hear it.
yeah, nice
So,
to meet
I want to commend you on that. Uh, I wanted to ask you your idea behind the music video for Out of Sight, Out of Mind, because I got a real kick out of that when I did the reaction, because it kind of breaks the fourth wall almost.
you.
You're making a music video, it's like, but then you see the making of the music video, it's everything in there. How did you come up with that? Or
Well, yeah, that is actually an interesting song because it's when you let's say if you read the lyrics and stuff, it's very hidden, the meaning of the song. It's not really actually about the literal text.
Mhm.
But what it is literally is about this kind of stalking story or topic, let's say. So we wanted to bring that creepiness and something like that in there. So that was just a idea we came up with the director. Actually, we were just kind of brainstorming because I told him what the song is about, and we thought like, oh, maybe it'd be cool just some mysterious person, you can only see the gloves,
Yeah.
and then they make their way, and like you said, halfway through you suddenly realize, oh, it's now we see it from the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, that it's in a way simple, but I'm glad that it evoked some reactions.
No, yeah, I think it does. It's kind of surprising because you get so accustomed to just seeing this music video and or the band playing and all of that. But then all of a sudden, like you said, it cuts and they come up and they're
Yeah.
like touching up your makeup or whatever, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, really creative. Really enjoyed that.
Cool.
I wanted to ask you too, how do you balance your time between all your different projects? I know I've seen on social media or whatnot that you're a vocal teacher or singing teacher, but also your time with Leaves Eyes, and then you also have Angel Nation. How do you manage all of these projects?
Well, I mean, I think many musicians, many singers have the same situation. They have multiple things they do, and it's, I think, just due to managing schedules and planning, and it hasn't really been a problem like so far. It's yeah, I'm teaching here in a couple of music schools and also a little bit privately, so I also really enjoy that. And then now it's been a bit more busy with Angel Nation because of the album, of course,
Yeah.
and now with the pandemic, everything was anyway completely kind of shut down.
Yeah.
But now things will then pick up also with Leaf Sides. We have some stuff coming up, and we're also preparing for the next album. So then it's going
Wow.
to be another way around. So it's just kind of have to find the balance and and try to make it work so things don't clash too much.
Yeah, you kind of, I guess, kind of just go back and forth, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, with Angel Nation, I do have to say that it's quite a bit different of a sound than Leaves Eyes.
Mhm.
Is that a conscious decision? Did you want to really kind of try to separate the two and explore something different?
Well, I mean, I started Enkelination, Angel Nation already 2011, so that was already ways before I joined
Very
Lake.
true.
Yeah, so it was really actually nothing to do with each other. I've just continued like my way with Angel Nation, and then Leaf Size is something different. So musically, it's never been like kind of putting them somehow against each other. And
Right.
I just really like that they're different because then I can, explore different things with my voice and everything on stage and everything. So it's great actually. I like it. It would be kind of boring to have two completely same bands.
Right. It'd be like, why is there two different bands for the same
Yeah,
thing?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. So lastly, I guess, I want to ask your the future plans for Angel Nation. What do you have coming up? Any tours, or are you already working on new music, or are you just gonna kind of chill for a while?
Well, I mean, yeah, we have, of course, plans to play live. I would really love to play the songs live. So I can't speak about them right now, but there are some stuff that I hope we can announce very soon. And then one thing that's still coming out is the vinyl edition that's going to come on June 3rd. So I'm really looking forward to that because we've never had a vinyl edition before.
Wow.
So that's something to look forward to. But I mean, yeah, there's always things you can work on, and it's still kind of, the album is kind of only been out for a little while. So
Yeah.
like now I'm still talking about that with people like you, and enjoying like this feeling because again, people, it's the crowdfunding that helped us making this album. So I'm so grateful for all of our fans for that.
Awesome. So you said that you're just feeling really excited. How
Yeah.
now that the album is out and everything, you can just kind of enjoy seeing the feedback and just,
Yeah.
I guess a relief that, oh, this is finally out there, and
Yes, for
people just
sure.
enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you personally, what does the future hold? What goals do you have, I guess, professionally? Is there anything else that you'd like to achieve going forward, or are you just really kind of focusing on your current projects?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say that I have some specific thing that, oh, this is something I really want to do. I mean, I've already done so much. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities, we've done with Leaf Size also big US tours and European tours. So I've experienced a lot of things and visited a lot of countries. And now I would just like to get back to also that after the Corona. So because it hasn't been much stage time in these
Right.
past years. So let's hope that gets back to kind of, let's say, normal. And then I've also had pleasure to be part of quite a few guest performances, like, projects which are then going to be out at some point as well. So I'm really looking forward to those, and hopefully more in the future. So I'm just kind of always looking for other things and thinking of what's next.
Yeah, really cool. Keeping a variety, and keeping things
Yeah,
fresh. Really cool.
exactly.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers out there, and any?
Well, I mean, I already said it. I already said thank you everyone who basically helped us making this album. And I really hope people are enjoying it, of course. And I hope even more that we get to play it live very soon, so we can, get that energy and feedback from the live audience. So hopefully that will happen soon.
Yeah, awesome. Well, really cool. Sounds like you've had a lot of really awesome experiences over the years, and hopefully that continues. And just a big congratulations on your release. And
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're able to just kind of enjoy that now. So awesome. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to talk to me, and to share all of
Absolutely
that.
my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. And that's what I got there for you folks. I'm going to put everything that Angel Nation on social media, all that kind of good stuff down in the description down below. So go check that out. Go have fun with that. And if you haven't listened to the latest album, Antares, yet, go do so. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. And thank you all for tuning in. Catch you all next time. Ranger, out.